So I drink till the night becomes another day, and the day's just another little thing in our way. There's something about the way you beat me down that I'll never learn. You're the pint of no return, the pain in my chest, the stain on your dress, the glass in my eye. But this life is a joke and death is the punch. I know.
Mothers of Mayhem!
Hey! Beep beep, kids. Episode 3 of Mothers of Mayhem, an extreme horror podcast. I'm pretty sure no one is listening to this anymore. So our poor guest today, Mr. Nikolas P Robinson, author extraordinaire, is basically just going to be doing this for the pleasure of Christina and myself, and probably nobody else.
I'm perfectly happy that this is a vanity project.
Yes, this is fantastic. I have been sick. My brain does not work very well right now, so that is really only just going to add to the quality of this episode. If you do happen to be one of the poor suckers who tuned in today, God bless you.
Godspeed, friends.
Yeah,
Godspeed.
yeah. If you hear me blow my nose, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry.
We're not the mothers of propriety. We're the mothers of mayhem.
Yes. Disgusting viral mayhem.
Cootie queens. Cootie queens.
All right. What should the people know, Christina?
Well, as with every episode of ours, they should have trigger warnings. We should just have trigger warning tattooed on our foreheads.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about a lot today. We're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about abuse, verbal, domestic, all kinds of stuff. So definitely trigger warning. If you are not comfortable listening to that kind of stuff, go on to our next one. It's probably going to be about the same.
Yeah, I was going to say the next one's not going to be any better. So just get the fuck out of here now. Save yourselves!
Run, children, run from your crazy mothers. Also, we need to spoiler alert early in the broadcast because we will probably be talking about spoilers because we're going to talk about some in-depth stuff and a lot of spoilers are going to happen.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Yeah. And it's our podcast and we do what we want. And if you don't like it, you can go fuck yourself.
Or get your own podcast.
Oh, yeah, you can do that too. But don't you dare try to come up against us because we will find you and we will beat your podcast to a bloody pulp with a baseball bat.
Or we'll give it a shout out because that's who we are.
I don't think that's true, but okay.
It's not. Hey, Christmas
sounds fake, but okay.
Christmas is only 364 days away. Let's start planning accordingly.
Oh, fine. God.
All right, Miss Marian.
What?
Besides having the Rona,
yeah,
what have you been reading?
Nothing. No. No, actually, because I did have the COVID, I went into a major reading slump over the past 10 days, but I did read a few things. I read Distinctly I Remember by the Professor, which is on Godless, and it was unbelievable, incredible. I need to film a full review on that tomorrow.
Yes.
I also, this morning, I read another Nikolas P Robinson in preparation for this. I read his newest one, which was an anti-Christmas drop on Godless. When You're Here, Your Fatalities.
So funny.
I read The Dumb and the Proud which also was an anti-Christmas drop. And this was at Christina's recommendation. What is this gentleman's name again? Because this was
Bob
my first.
Freeville.
Bob Freeville. It was amazing. Freaking
Right.
loved it. Absolutely. 100% recommend. In my physical TBR, I still need to get to Matt Shaw's newest compilation, Battered Broken Bodies, which is a body horror anthology, but it has the most amazing contributor list ever.
Dude,
While I was
seriously.
sick, I finally got through Baker's Dozen, which was compiled by Candice Nola. Automatically, I can definitely rank this as my favorite anthology of 2021. It was just, oh my God, it's so good, you guys. You have got to read this book. It's so fucking good. And then so yeah, I still need to read Battered Broken Bodies. Also, I got Junji Ito's illustrated adaptation of No Longer Human, which I am itching to read. I also need to read The Library at Mount Char and Rico Slade Will Fucking Kill You, as well as Danny Brown's newest drop for today, The Snow Queen, which I have been waiting for months. And now here we are. And I'm like, I have like all these books ahead of me.
Right. All I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, all I'm hearing is I'm book stressed, send help.
Yes.
That's all I'm hearing. I'm hearing a cry for help.
I am both book stressed and book blessed. I am
right. Oh, I like that.
I am too book blessed to be book stressed.
Or you could flip it around.
That's true. I am too book stressed to be book blessed.
So I think either way it would work. I think
What are
either
you-
one's a winner.
What are you reading? What have you been reading? You've been reading way more than I have.
I'm just all over the place with my books. I read, like you said, I read The Proud and the Dumb, which just read it. Like it's funny and it's a wonderful commentary.
Oh yeah.
For either side of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Definitely puts our faces in it. And I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I want that. Give it to me.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of reading Ruth Ann Jagg's new one that's coming up in January, on January 26th, I believe.
Ooh.
The New Girl's Patient.
She talking them sweet arcs.
Ooh, give me all the arcs, baby. Do you need a breathalyzer? Do we need to talk?
No. I was just thinking about how I still need to read. I forgot to mention that I need to read Rain Havoc's arc for Lost Souls, which is her new heart murder book that's going to be coming out. And I've had it for like a week and I still haven't read it. Number one, because I was sick, and number two, because I don't like heart murdery books.
Oh, she heart murders the heart murder.
She giving Volpe a run for his money. Volpe and Macmillan, y'all better watch your asses because Havoc is coming for you.
And it's so interesting because this is a complete 180 from what we expect. And I don't like to say that. I don't like to say I expect a specific thing from an author because I think that puts them into a box, and they shouldn't be put into a box because they're creative. Let them be. Like Chandler Morrison, I talked about him. You know, Rain Havoc's very feeling like Chandler Morrison right now, and I am living for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Miss Havoc, can we talk about her a little bit longer? I read her short in Battered Broken Bodies last night. She never ceases to impress me. Like it is phenomenal.
I know.
Just that story. Just that story is worth price of admission, in my opinion. Just that story.
So I feel like Rain Havoc and Daniel Volpe are on the precipice of moving beyond indie.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I don't think they realize it. Maybe Volpe has a little bit of an idea. I think he can see it on the horizon. I don't think Rain realizes yet, but it's coming. So I feel blessed to be friends and to be buddies with them at this
Where
point.
they don't block us.
Right. When they remember all of us little small beans that they left behind. And I also believe that our featured guest today, Mr. Nikolas P Robinson,
Oh, without a doubt.
also has potential to be creeping towards the precipice of mainstream horror coming up within the next year or so, because if you have not read any Nikolas Robinson content thus far, I certainly hope that you will change that after listening to today's episode, because this man, this is an incredible author, you guys. And one of the things that kills me the most about Nick Robinson is that Nick Robinson doesn't realize how good Nick Robinson is. And I'm not saying that just to like be patting this guy on the back.
He doesn't even know we're saying it. He's not even with
or
us
like
yet,
brown nosing or anything like that. Like, no, he's not even here yet. He's probably like, where's my fucking link? They said 2:30.
Women.
God damn it. Yeah, he doesn't realize how good his books are, my dude.
Yeah. Wait until we start talking about his older stuff, not his godless stuff.
Yeah,
I'm talking. You got to go searching for this stuff.
Yes. He has been in the writing scene for over 10 years. He's become a leading voice in indie horror, not only as a writer, but also as an amplifying voice for other authors.
He's big at that.
And his energy for boosting the work of other writers is just as big, if not bigger, than his energy for boosting his own work.
Yes. At 100%, because not only does he, share everything from everyone, he also has a blog, Meltdown Messiah, that he reviews and, amplifies that way. So he's a big one for indie horror and in indie horror.
He's a mover and a shaker.
He is probably going to be like, why did you guys even say that? Terrible. I'm downvoting this podcast in a minute.
Sorry, that was my left lung.
No dying on you. We have things to talk about, lady.
What are some of your favorite from Nick? Favorite?
Oh my gosh. His newest one, When You're Here, Your Fatalities, hilarious. We'll be talking about that one.
Yes.
Some of his older stuff, Exorcising Demons, is really tragic, and we will be talking about that one. A Singular Experience. Wait, so I talk about that one. That one I loved. And I'm going to mispronounce this, so please come back and be like, you do not know how to talk. Yeshua and Adonai? That's it. See, look at you. Boom, got it.
That's what happens when you grow up with a father who has a master's in theology and divinity.
Okay. My mother has a degree in American Sign Language, so there's the difference.
But she can spell it out in ASL.
Oh my God, she can. She can also tell you to go fuck yourself too.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Sorry, I'm flirting with my glasses, and the people that are listening to this can't even see that.
I had slime explode on me, so 2 episodes ago. So it's only fair. Also, this isn't a penis. This is my fidget. So.
I really, really love Nick Robinson's short story collection, Caution May Cause Ocular Bleeding. Within that story, you will find within that collection, you will find one of his most, I don't know, cult favorites.
Yes.
I guess we could call it. It made huge waves when it dropped on Godless, but this story is called Horseplay. And we will probably talk about that a little bit.
Oh, without a doubt.
In a few minutes. And of course, I also loved his short story, Where Dreams Come True, which was part of the 31 Days of Godless event back in October. This was one of the first extreme horror short stories in a long time that actually upset me. It upset me because not like I wasn't mad at him or anything like that, but the content, it was upsetting to me because of what this thing in this story causes people of all ages to and relationships to do. It upset me. And then huge trigger warnings on that one. Do not go into that one if you are a sensitive Sally in any way, shape, or form. And then I did just read When You Hear Your Fatalities. It was fucking amazeballs.
It was so good. It was so good. It was so funny.
And he is also the author of Innocence Ends, as well as Unspoken. Do you think we should should we send him a link? Should we invite him to the party?
Let's invite him in.
All right, let's do it. Buckle up, kids. Here we go. We've got him. We've got him now.
We got him.
And he can't get out of here unless he presses leave this meeting.
It's the red button, Nick. It's the red button.
Welcome to you, Nikolas P Robinson. We are so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So tell the people a little bit about yourself. Give them a little bit of info about who you are.
Does anyone really care?
We do.
Oh, we care.
I'm Nick. I live in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I write, and when I'm not writing, I work as a producer for a news station.
That's freaking cool.
Yes,
I hope you know how freaking cool that is.
And he posts videos and pictures all the time.
I
it's
know.
Really neat to look at.
If you guys don't follow him on Facebook, then you're missing out.
And he does photography.
Yeah,
photography.
I do photography. Yes.
We're
not
like
pornography, but photography. But I
we're
could
like
do both.
we're the worst kind of stalkers. Like
we are.
We know things that you never expected us to know.
Thank you, Google.
And that's more Christina than myself. She's
it is.
Frightening.
I am. I'm like the FBI. Thank you, library.
All right, Christina, you want to give a brief rundown of our question situation that we've got going on?
We are going to toggle back and forth. We have some questions, if I could talk, that we have written out. Nick does not know them, so they're kind of, but they're not gotcha questions because that's not how we do things. We don't, we're not paparazzi. We just want to know all your secrets, but from you, not from others.
That's fair.
Yay!
Right? So, Marian, do you want to go first?
Oh, okay.
I shocked her too. She didn't know.
Well, I'm trying to decide
which one
I want to start with. So Nikolas, for you, we already told the people all about some of our favorite stories and books that you've written. Mine, of course, being Caution May Cause Ocular Bleeding, your short story collection. And that one, of course, contains the infamous horseplay. Now, what I love about that short story collection is all of the information you included at the end, in the afterword, which basically gives a little bit of a history behind all of the stories that are in the book. And it does explain the background behind the cult classic horseplay. But could you tell? It is among the godless family.
Yeah,
it has become a cult classic, and you know it. Tell the people a little bit more about horseplay and where the inspiration for that story came from.
Well, I suppose I'll start with the inspiration because that's kind of where it's all rooted. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what my dog is dragging down the hallway. I used to spend a lot of time just looking for random things online back in like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. And at that point in time, there wasn't really a separation between like what's considered the dark web and what's just the conventional internet. And so I'd compiled a handful of videos that involved like people having sex with animals, horses, dogs, even one with a woman having sex with a pig, and I found that too revolting.
That's charming.
Pigs have a weird corkscrew penis.
I know.
It was really strange to see that. Like, unnerving.
I'm calling the police.
No, I was looking it up. This is me looking it up.
But no, and you know, I had videos that were similar in nature to like the famous Two Girls One Cup.
Uh-huh.
I had one where it was two girls who like one of them like collected a turd from another.
Oh my
woman
god!
directly,
Oh my god!
and then like turned to another woman and they did like the Lady and the Tramp thing with it.
Shut up!
But so these were the things that I used to collect. Not for like enjoyment. I mean, it was just it was
wink. Gotcha.
I got it. My husband and I did the same exact thing. And it was probably around the same time, 1997, 98,
Yep.
99, when like Ogrish was the big thing for all of us alternagoth kids who we were such hard asses, weren't we?
Yeah, it was always trying to push limits.
Yup. And instead we were just traumatizing ourselves and our friends.
Yeah, pretty much. But the video in question that kind of led to horseplay, it was really just poorly shot. The audio was really, really bad. So when I fictionalized it, I just removed the audio altogether because it seemed almost more appropriate to have no sound, because then there in the fictionalized version that I wrote about, that also meant that there was no warning about what was coming.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of liked that just hitting out of nowhere. But in the video, it was a woman having sex with a horse with a couple of guys like there as support. But the part that I found the most alarming about the whole thing wasn't the act itself, which, you know, she seemed to enjoy it. The horse certainly seemed to be enjoying it. But the part I found disturbing was the fat man off to the side, just standing there playing with himself while he was watching this happen. Like no pants on, or if he did have pants, they were down around his ankles like a little boy using a urinal. And then his penis barely protruding past his gut.
Yeah.
And it was just,
yeah.
That was the part that always stuck in my head as the most unusual, was what the hell is wrong with this man? Why are you here? Are you serving any purpose? And I mean, I get why the woman's there, because she's probably getting paid for it. And maybe she really does enjoy it. I mean, there are women who sit on traffic cones, for fuck's sake. So, I understand why other people were there, like the people supporting her, and like, you know, they're basically to pull her off, I guess, in a case
in case of impalement.
Right?
I understand the camera person. I didn't understand him. I couldn't get what he was getting out of this, how that was appealing or arousing to him in any way. And so that was kind of where horseplay arose from, was fixating on that fat man just standing there naked masturbating while watching this take place, and then wanting something bad to happen to him.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of grew from that.
You know, when I read Horseplay, and I mentioned this to you, I think on Facebook or somehow, but it brought back memories of a video that I had seen as well during this same period of time. And I'm pretty sure that I probably saw the same one.
I can't imagine there's too many.
I know. But the most disturbing thing about this guy is how bored he also seems with the whole thing. Like he's there and he's present and he's doing whatever he needs to do to stay it's just not that impressive to him. He's like so lackadaisical in his involvement. Right. And he's very detached. He's doing what he has to do. Like he has to do this thing, but he's like, right?
Dead inside.
Yeah, totally dead inside. And that is like the most disturbing part of it. Like there's nothing happening behind the eyes. He's just there doing the thing with no emotion. And the lack of sound, like your brain has an amazing way of bringing back all of these memories and inserting that information for you. But you're right. Like the lack of sound on the video when you're reading the story, like your brain starts just going in all these different directions. And then that one really like, woo boy, it really takes a twist on the whole thing. It's so good.
I just want to say, I feel kind of left out because I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, I don't.
If I still had the video CDs that I'd made, I'd make a copy and send one your way.
Oh my God.
I appreciate you, Nick.
I created this was before blank DVDs, but I made video CDs that you could play in DVD players if you had the right kind. And I'd pop this in when I had company over that I just kind of wanted to get rid of. And so my roommate, Sadie, she and I sat through that probably more times than I can count. And I don't know what that did to us. The fact that we watched those types of things on the television on a regular basis just to get rid of unwanted company.
But at the same time, you started a new trend. So
that was the part. That was the thing you guys put on the television to let people know the party's over. Get the fuck out of our house.
And now they just have signs that say, please leave by 9. So you started a trend.
I also had a laminated sign that I'd printed out that I had above my toilet that said, we do not swim in your toilet. Please do not shit. We do not shit in your pool. Please do not swim in our toilet. So I don't know.
What kind of friends did you have, Nick? I think this is what we need to talk about more.
Really great friends. Really excellent.
My friends, I feel like I'm the Republican of the group. I'm not getting any of this. I never experienced any of this.
You're not missing it.
The only thing you're missing out on is a little bit of extra trauma.
Well, trust me, I've got plenty of that.
Right. If your pockets are full, you're good.
Oh, I've got some of that too, Nick. Don't worry. That's a whole other podcast. Why is Christina the way she is? Part 87.
Do you have a question for Mr. Robinson? Now that I got to talk about the weird bestiality stuff with him.
How can I follow that up? That's bullshit. That's your first question. God, and I wrote them.
I love that this whole interview started out with, hey, weirdo, what the fuck's up with the horse story?
Horse penises. And that's when we get banned from everything.
Right?
There goes any chance of having this channel monetized.
Right. Thank you, Nick.
See, both Nick and I have been banned from Facebook recently.
Bad kids. I'm the only good kid, and that's not good, guys.
Yeah.
That's bad. Trust me.
All right, redirect us, Christina.
All right, focusing. So my question is actually it's going to go back to your older stuff too.
Okay.
And it's interesting that we used horseplay because I can actually put that in with my question. I don't even think this is one of my questions, but I'm going to use it. Loneliness. You write a lot about loneliness, people feeling alone, being put in situations where they're the only one. Sunday the 15th, a singular experience. I've got notes, so bear with me. Exorcising demons, he becomes alone. The gentleman in horseplay is alone,
Oh, Demonica. She does that. Oh,
so I know. Bad.
It's really good.
It's on my list. But is that something that you set out to do even with your earlier stuff? Or is that just kind of where the muses took you?
I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that that a lot of my life, even when I had people around, I felt like I wasn't really surrounded by people. Like I just didn't feel like anyone was really there or that I was really there.
Mm-hmm.
I used to kind of joke about it, but it wasn't really a joke, that if I didn't force people to remember that I existed, that they'd forget. That if I wasn't actively present in like even my closest friends' lives, that at some point they'd forget that I exist, and then would I still exist?
Right.
So it was kind of kind of an element of my psychology, I guess. I don't know what it says about me or what the hell's wrong with me necessarily, but that's kind of something I still struggle with sometimes, where I wonder if people weren't around, or if I weren't actively around other people, if I would even still kind of exist. It's kind of like a solipsistic type of philosophy, but taken in the inverse, where instead of feeling like other people may not exist, that everything could be a fragment of my own perspective, or like little aspects of my own imagination, that maybe I'm the figment of someone else's imagination.
Ooh, I like that. There's a story.
Or
there.
if I am not recognized or validated by the acknowledgement of other humans, do I, as a human, have meaning?
Yeah.
I think that's a very universal. Absolutely, 100%. I can totally see where you're coming from. I think a lot of us run from that.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right that we do all experience that, because I think we all kind of get down on ourselves, and we see other people doing great things, and I do quotes because no one's ever really doing great things. There's always something in the background, you know what I mean? You can be the richest person and you have really bad shit going on in your life. So I don't know, the loneliness really speaks to me, especially with a singular experience. I loved that one. That one was just so much. If people have read Illuminae series or the trilogy, Nick wrote this before that came out, which is very interesting. It's this narrator. I think his name's Captain. Hold on, I've got the notes. Captain. I think he's just Captain. And the AI is Ezra, which is biblical, which is interesting because a lot of your stuff is biblical. And it's the conversation between the two of them. And I think that that's really interesting that you say, you feel alone. And even though in a world of nothing but noise and nothing but AI, we can still feel completely alone. And you wrote this in 2015. So I don't know, it's one of my favorites.
Well, you've been writing for over 10 years.
And that character chose to remain alone. So rather than wake everyone else up and
see the peril of their death. Yeah. Because we talked about there would probably be spoilers, so we can talk about spoilers.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell it all. I'm gonna tell it all.
It didn't even cross my mind. I figured nobody's gonna read that anyway.
Oh, come
I will shove it in
on.
their faces.
What's funny is that was actually published back in 2015 by the Black Hills Writers Group. They did this anthology, and two of my stories had been selected. And there's like a poet laureate from Wyoming that was in there, and a bunch of other people. But my other story got pulled because at the very end because it just didn't fit the theme, and I understand that one. But A Singular Experience was published in that. Now I still don't think anybody ever read the damn thing. So, but
I did, and I took notes, Nick. So suck on that one.
She annotated that shit.
You don't understand my level of professionalism.
Post-it tabs and everything.
You just don't understand me, Nick.
I am very, very keen on the concept of how we as readers and authors use this particular genre to process mental health struggles and trauma that we experience throughout our lives. And I really appreciate that we're very straightforward. We're like, look, that's a theme because it was something that I have been dealing with all this time. And it just goes back to highlight how the extraordinary relationship that mental health and extreme horror have with one another, and how it can be very cathartic on a deeply personal level. I know this is going to be a tough one because you have been writing since, oh my God, like 2010, 2011. Which of your stories do you consider your most personal?
Christina actually mentioned it. It would be a story called Exorcising Demons. And that's probably one of the oldest ones. I think I wrote it back in 2001. But it ended up on Kindle back in like 2010, I think.
Wow.
And then it was included in my first collection of shorts and poetry, Errata, which came out in 2016. But that one's probably the most deeply personal of all the things I've written. I'm actually kind of half-assed rewriting it because I feel like there was room for a lot of improvement, but I haven't gotten there yet. So,
well, do you feel like, so that was 20 years ago, 21 years ago. Do you feel like, having had 2 decades go by, that you can almost add new perspective to the story now and kind of change it in certain ways to fit more of who you are now as opposed to who you were in 2010?
I think more depth and texture is what I could probably add to it, more than changing like the actual like nature of the story itself. But adding certain, I suppose, just richness to it, I guess, is something I think I could do. But there's something to be said for the way it was written too, because it's very not disjointed, but it's kind of skeletal in a strange way. Like
so I would say very raw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
More from a more deeply emotional place where you just kind of you apply it to the page in that very primal, instinctive way. Like, these are my thoughts, these are my feelings. Here you go.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
It's so good.
And we'll talk more. Oh, so you're actively kind of re-editing that one?
Yeah, it's not like I'd forgotten about it, but it's something I hadn't thought about for a long time. And then Christina ended up mentioning it to me a little while back, and I was like, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about that story in years. and then I always entertained the thought of like expanding it or making it something bigger, and then just never had. So I kind of found that as a motivation.
Can we still purchase this somewhere?
Yeah, it's still available on Kindle and everything.
On Kindle? Excellent.
I think it's on K.
Because if you're gonna read
Unlimited too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
fuck yeah! Because if you're gonna redo this one, I need to read the original first.
It's not great. I mean, don't get me wrong. None of the stuff is great. I mean,
do you see this?
Shut the fuck up!
If you could see my face. So I'm sorry I had to leave. My daughter was screaming bloody murder at my husband, and somebody was going to get stabbed. And Michael doesn't need to be stabbed the day before work. I wanted to. I know. So does she. If it's okay with Nick, I wanted to say a couple quotes that I absolutely fell in love with that story.
It's you guys' podcast. You can do whatever.
Awesome.
That's right. It is, and we do what we want.
With permission.
No. Everybody else can just go fuck themselves.
I revoke it. So this was the first one, and I don't know why, but this one just hit me. And it's every bitter taste of whiskey stole food from their mouths.
People, if you could see my face right now.
Can we talk about that? Like, yes, Nick. Then this one got to me. This one, like, emotionally beat me. And she fought with him for hours as they poisoned one another with a hatred that neither of them truly felt, with words that neither one of them truly meant.
Christina, we're gonna need to send this man a heart murderer t-shirt.
on it.
Heart murderer, huh?
Oh, you bastard! You just got to join the ranks of the filthy heart murderers.
And I think, congratulations, Nick. It's a very close one to the end. It's very exclusive.
Damn it.
See, this one affected me because I think I'm going to say 99% of people, because there are, very nice people in the world. I think that we've all said something to our significant other that we're like, we want to hurt you, but I don't mean it. And I think, and I even do that to my own husband, which, I call him an asshole. My mother always told me to say what they really are. So I don't know, but we've all been there. We've all said something where we're like, I don't want to say this, but I have to say this because I have to make you hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what, so these Marian, I'm telling, just get the Kleenex ready when you read it.
Shut up.
Okay. Okay. His heart is okay. Our hearts are fine.
No, Sarah, they are not.
Okay.
And someday yours won't be fine either, kid.
I'm going to make you read
that. Before we bring you in, Christina and I do a little bit of like pre-recording and talking about the people that we're going to be talking about or talking to and all that good stuff. And one of the things we talked about is how you don't realize how good at this you are, and how much that pisses us off.
You don't get to do that face. You don't get to do that face.
See, he doesn't. If people who are listening only, this man just had the audacity to look at us like he was shocked.
Pure audacity.
And that just solidifies the point that we're making. Because every single thing we read, and I'm not saying this to pat you on the back, because if you actually were only mediocre, I wouldn't say these things. I would be nice to you, but I wouldn't say this to you because it wouldn't be true.
And liars pee the bed. My mother told me that.
Yes, Santa farts on their presents. But everything I have read that you have written has caused a deeply visceral emotional response for me. And from my perspective, that is the ultimate sign of an excellent author. I can read a book and have fun with it, but when I read Where Dreams Come True, And I remember that was how you and I first really started interacting with one another. I was so upset. And I told the people this before we even brought you in here. That story just really, really, like, I wasn't angry or like sad, but as a mother and just on a personal level, like it just really affected me. And it was only 5 pages.
Mhm.
But in 5 pages, you gutted me. I was so upset. But at the same time, I was like, oh my God, where did this come from?
Right.
Because it was the first super short story I had ever read where I felt like somebody had just punched me in the fucking face. And that is
Wow.
like, you have just this super great talent for this. I know
No face, Nick. I'm watching.
You want to be humble. You want to be modest. But it's okay if behind the scenes you're like, oh, I'm fucking rules.
I'm so fucking cool. If you want to like Patrick Bateman,
because you are.
Yeah.
So, and like you're really, really, really good at the whole extreme horror thing. Like you obviously have a knack for it. But Christina, I do tend to stay in the realms of horror. I don't tend to get sucked in by other genres very well.
I will vacuum up all.
But Christina has done the other side of your writing. So we are seeing both ends of that continuum for you, but we are curious if there are any other subgenres in between that you are still, especially within extreme horror. Is there any of the subgenres you're interested in exploring more? You don't do a lot of like splatterpunk because that's something you're interested in. Are you interested in bizarro or more like cosmic? Like, is there anything you see on the horizon that you're gonna be like experimenting with?
I do have some what started with You Will Be Consumed.
I loved
it. That's leading into a lot more kind of a cosmic horror. The next book from Madness Heart Press, Beneath the Unspoiled Wilderness, which is kind of tied into that, is kind of a slasher story, but it's also a cosmic horror story too, because there are elements of that in there. So it's got components of like a traditional camp slasher type story, you know, people in the woods, bad things happen. But then there's also elements of cosmic horror and just kind of a revenge story, like a, you know, like I don't know, I Spit on Your Grave, the brave one type of revenge story involved.
Love a good revenge story.
Right, that's your favorite.
So it's got all three of those kind of tied together in it. So, but then further along down the line, there's about 5 or 6 books planned that are all part of this kind of shared universe where it'll ultimately all come together. But there's a lot more cosmic horror involved in that.
Interesting.
And some body horror, I guess, as well, because that kind of goes hand in hand with it.
Nice.
But
we
then,
love us good body horror.
Yeah,
right.
That's kind of subgenre. I like both of those a lot, cosmic horror and body horror. Let's see. Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of this more splattery stuff, but it's entertaining and I enjoy it. I just don't know that I can write it.
You could technically say When You're Here, Your Fatalities is splatterpunky.
A little bit, yeah. But see, the thing about your style is I think you could write splatter very, very well, but you don't need the shock value of splatter. You have a way of fucking with people in a much more subdued, almost existential way. Like you have, well, I think going back to the conversation we had earlier, touching on like, you know, mental health and catharsis and processing, all of that stuff. Like you have a way of targeting people's soft spots without being overt about it. Like you go into a Nikolas Robinson book and you close the thing when you're done and you're like, fucking A.
It's almost as if you wound someone and then you're like, come here, come here.
Let me give you a hug.
I'm there with you.
Except
it happened to me. Like,
yeah.
It's very, every one of your characters, you're like, let me pick that scab and then I'm going to tell you I love you.
Yeah.
That's Nick Robinson. That's your new tagline. You can use it. I don't need any money. That's
a weird one.
It's a gift. What about me isn't weird, Nick? Yes, you're weird like mommy. I don't know where my train of thought went. You have a weird mommy.
She does. So, if you are interested in cosmic horror and are going to be branching out a little bit more cosmic horror this coming year, tell us more about what your personal literary influences are. Who were you reading when you were growing up that had such an impact on you as an author?
I don't know. When I was growing up, like Barker had a huge influence on me. And then I was in 8th grade, I think, when I started reading Lovecraft. And then that had a pretty profound influence as well. I read a lot of Brian Lumley. God, back then, Jesus. Ambrose Bierce, like the old, like, Gothic.
Oh, yeah. An incident at yes.
God. And then, of course, like the stuff that kind of either preceded that or kind of emerged from that, like art and math stuff, like The Great God Pan, The King in Yellow, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of that stuff kind of influenced me when I was younger. And so I think that that's kind of where some of those influences still kind of reside. If I had to kind of put a pin in it, that's probably it.
You were reading some pretty sophisticated stuff as a young person.
Is
this just were these things that you were just like seeking out at the library? Like, were you a big library kid?
Library, I'd go through my mom was going to school when I was younger. She ended up majoring in English with like a minor in psych.
Well, there you go.
And then got her master's in English education. But,
an English major with a psych minor. This makes so much sense.
I used to go over textbooks and stuff and read those, and when I was a kid. So, and then like I read basically anything that we had on the shelves there, and then kind of went to the library, books all the time. And I did quite a bit of shoplifting. So
nice.
that supplemented things a bit too.
Statute of limitations.
Oh,
yeah, I know. That was like 40 years ago.
You're dead.
No, I don't know. That's a lot of it is like my mom, if she needed like one of her textbooks, it disappeared, and inevitably she'd come and steal it back from my room. So it's, I don't know, that's just kind of it. I always had a thing for reading, so
that's awesome.
And then my last question is, I know you were in a band.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, early 2000s. Was it an easy transition from lyrics to literature, or did it take some getting used to?
It's definitely a transition, because lyrics is more of a kind of a structured poetry. Kind of, it's all about rhythm or rhyme sequences, things along those lines. But I do try to carry over some of that, I don't know, aesthetic for rhythm to my own writing. I try to add beats to certain sentences here and there. It drives my mother nuts when she reads things that I've written because of my comma use, because I'll use commas as beats rather than like as something that belongs there in the
I'm like, I love commas.
In the actual
give me all the commas. Give me all the commas.
Yeah, so I use them out of like in incorrect grammatical sense sometimes, just because it's to form a beat. Specifically when people are talking in dialogue, it's a little bit easier to get away with it than it is in the actual writing, especially once an editor's gotten a hold of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a tendency to do that where I'd use like commas or punctuation to create beats or to strike a rhythm in what I was writing that isn't really supposed to be there in prose. but yeah, I mean, those are the biggest differences, is getting away from that need for like a specific rhythm or specific like rhyme to it in order to make it flow. But I feel like I could still utilize some of that in prose as well if I really was allowed to or really wanted to.
Yeah. And I just want to say that my favorite song from your band was, and I believe I thought I had it written down, was Bitch Sells Crack. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Love it. And it's so fun.
When Joel and I put that together, it was literally, it grew out of that sample of that woman with like the interaction with the cops. I don't know if it was from like an episode of Cops or something like that. It was just this crazy woman saying "bitch sell crack" and then the cop replying with "ma'am step back." And
it does that for about a minute, maybe a minute and 5 seconds. But what's interesting is it's actually a really fun song. I listened to it on like repeat 5 or 6 times. I was like, son of a bitch, you got me. Not only do you heart murder me, but now I want to go and dress gothy and dance to this. Like,
and then we used to randomly rent bizarre pornos and like rip samples from those.
Oh my God.
There's samples from this animated porno that we rented called Gonad the Barbarian.
Nice.
You said Gonad the Barbarian.
Yeah, Gonad the Barbarian.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was Gonad the Barbarian. It's been years, but
I don't remember that one. I was a little stuck on Bitch Sells Crack. That's what I was stuck on. Sorry.
So we used like porno samples and things like that occasionally, just kind of interspersed throughout the music, just because it was funny. Because we didn't take ourselves very seriously either. So
I think that's
it was fun. Like I think I listened to 3 different songs because I went with the first one, like the middle one, and the last one, and they were fun. Like it's very nostalgic for Lost Highway, the one that Trent Reznor.
Oh my God, yeah, I love that fucking movie.
Well, it made me nostalgic. It made me want to go back and rewatch the movie. I'm like, don't rewatch the movie. You're not that person anymore. You're not 18, you old gray-haired fatty.
Oh, who cares?
You know,
who cares?
But it's funny because you watch something older compared to when you were younger, and it's totally different. And you're just like,
oh yeah,
this movie sucks. Like.
I was obsessed with Natural Born Killers, and I still am.
Love it.
So
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's
so fuck you, Christina.
Well, it's one of my favorites too. So suck a butt, man. What was I listened to Fiat Knox.
Yeah.
And there was one. What was the first one? I literally wrote "fucking love this one" on Bitch Sell Crack.
What was the name of the band? What was the name of your band?
Yes, was
Alter Noctum, Alter Edom, or
okay.
But it had the same initials in English. Another Night, Another Identity.
I looked that up too.
And we can find this on the YouTubes.
It's on like Bandcamp and stuff like that. I'm sure it's all available at no cost. Like quite a few years ago, I put it all up there.
It's all free. It's all free. I listened to it for free.
Yeah.
And we'll have all of this information.
Oh yeah, we're totally gonna link that in the show notes. I hope you
because
it's also not great,
cute.
But
it's not, I don't want to say cute, but it's like, it's fun. It's got this beat that literally in my head, I can hear it right now as I'm speaking. So it's fun.
What year was this?
Oh God, this was the last time we performed was 98. June of 98. So it's been quite a while. I mean, there was still stuff that I edited a little bit and recorded and like kind of put down on like CD back in 2000 or so. But the last time we'd actually really recorded or worked together was about 98.
Oh, I am so here for this.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I can't wait. I can't wait for other people to hear it. It's so much fun. I really loved it. And I was gonna link it on my personal Facebook page, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check with Nick first, because we're all like, there are some things in my past that I'm like, if that gets out, I am fucked. Like, like, no, mommy didn't do that. That was someone else. I was Chrissy before I was Christina. That's all I can say about that conversation.
Well, all right, my dudes, we are going to take a quick break because it is time for the ad zone.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes. All right, we'll be back.
Hey kids, looking for a way to affordably access the best and wildest independent extreme horror currently in existence? Godless Horrors is the place to be. Go to www.godless.com to gain access to thousands of extreme horror and splatterpunk books from the genre's best and brightest independent authors. Godless Horrors offers every title in their catalog in a variety of formats to ensure compatibility with your favorite digital reading device. Strapped for cash? No worries. Godless has a fantastic collection of free titles ready for instant download, with other titles in their collection rarely exceeding $3 to $4. Again, go to www.godless.com or download the app and tell them what the fuck you're looking for. Come join the Godless tribe today. Forever delightfully deviant. Forever godless.
Oh yeah, we're back. Oh shit. It is time. It is time for the rapid fire 4.
You have 4 questions, 4 answers, and 0 time to think ahead.
Okay.
Are you ready?
We will need an answer immediately, or you will face certain death. Do you know what movie that's from? That's from Labyrinth. You're lame.
I don't. I didn't get it either, man.
You're both lame. I can't be the only Labyrinth obsessed nerd in this
I know
room
of
right
it. I know of it.
All right, here we
right.
go. Here we go. Are you ready? It's time.
Which question? For the love of God,
Christina, pull it together.
Drunk. Just ignore me. Which one of your characters do you identify with the most?
Wait, didn't we already ask that question? Did we ask that question? Did we?
No, you didn't.
Oh, all right.
God,
We asked which one was most personal.
At least Nick is keeping track of what we're doing.
As strange as it seems, the character I probably related to the most is kind of an amalgam of a couple of them from Innocent. Gale and Hewitt, kind of a combination of the two from that novel. Just because they kind of feel like two sides of of me to an extent. So
Interesting.
right. Miss Marian,
what book already published do you wish you had written?
oh God. I'm gonna go with Stolen Tongues. I just read that one. I really liked that.
interesting.
Oh, it's such a good book, isn't it?
Yeah, and because I spent a lot of my childhood in and around the Rockies area, it kind of hit home pretty well. I like that a lot.
You know, we are all part of that Books of Horror Facebook group, and that Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell, my God, it had like a good 7 months where it was like the #1 book that people would recommend, and it was hyped so hard that I was like, I don't know, I'll read it just to see what all the fuss is about. I did not expect it takes a lot to like make me nervous when I read a book to give anywhere near that feeling of being creeped out. Actually creeped me out a little bit. It's a good one.
It's got a good atmosphere to it. It's very unsettling. And it must be something to do with like the Reddit people, because like he wrote like originally wrote that on for No Sleep, and then Nathan Auerbach's pen pal was for not No Sleep, but I think it was a creepypasta or they're basically the same damn thing.
Yeah.
But both of those books are two of the most just unsettling, atmospherically creepy books I've ever read. But yeah, I put off Stolen Tongues until just like last week, and I ended up reading it over like, I don't know, I basically started reading it before I went to bed and finished reading it the next day.
Yeah.
But
See,
it was really good.
See, I have not read it, but I listened to the YouTube, which is only like 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
And I was listening to it as I was putting IKEA furniture together for this dumb house. I hate IKEA furniture, but that's a whole different discussion. I was so creeped out. Like I was getting goosebumps, and I was like, this fucking story, man. Yeah. So now I'm worried that if I read it, because I know that he expanded a lot on it, and this was a 2-hour version, and it was straight to the point. It gut punch, loved it. So I don't know if I want to read the book. That's what worries me.
Really good.
Is it?
You definitely should. You definitely should.
Especially since you live near the mountains like I do.
I want to that. I don't want to that. I'm such a wuss bag,
and it's winter. It's a perfect time for it.
It is. This is the perfect time of year. I live in the Appalachian.
We have nothing but ice.
I know. We all live in like mountainous regions. You're in the Black Hills. She's up in Alaska. I live along the Appalachians. So like for all of us reading this book, we're all like, this is fucking scary shit, man.
Yeah, I think that's the difference for the people who didn't really get into it. Maybe they just live in flat areas where there's no history.
Bunch of boring people.
Indiana.
Iowa.
Yep, nothing but plains, flat land.
Texas.
Yeah, and like the history too. I really appreciated the fact that he tried to be respectful about like the indigenous portion of it, because I'm surrounded by indigenous culture here. Like 5 different reservations in South Dakota. My daughter's part Lakota. My half sister is my ex-wife. So it's just something that's always been kind of right there in my life. So it was kind of cool to have that kind of I don't know, indigenous influence in the story without him doing like the indigenous version of the magical Negro character where they just come in today with their mystical powers.
Yes.
Like Dick Halloran from The Shining.
Yes.
So it was more respectful than that, I thought, and I liked it.
I agree with you on that one wholeheartedly. Some of the biggest complaints I saw from people were about like, oh, well, it's the use of another culture for the sake of creepiness. Like he's taking advantage of this culture. And I did not perceive it that way. I saw it as an indigenous culture kind of taking its revenge on the people who have destroyed their lands. Like, you people don't belong here. You have no claim to this land. I'm gonna fuck your shit up. And I loved it.
Do these same people complain about like people like appropriating vampire myths or werewolf myths?
I know, right?
Because none of those are probably part of the author's culture either.
So, and they're like, oh, it's using the Wendigo trope for this. I'm like, well, if you had actually read the book, you would know that that
isn't the Wendigo.
It's not right. This is not a Wendigo story. Like,
right.
So obviously, like, you haven't even read this book. Maybe you should like read it and give it a chance, and then you'll.
I think that was. If I had to pick a book I've read within the last year that I wish that I had written, that would be it, because I love the atmosphere of it. I think he did a fantastic job capturing that. So
good answer.
It's a really good one.
Yeah. Christina,
so my next question actually has been answered. So what is your favorite story you've written?
Oh, yeah. Well, the one that was most deeply personal, of course, was Exorcising Demons. I think my favorites, aside from the one that hasn't been published yet, because Beneath the Unspoiled Wilderness, I'm really proud of that one. But the other one is my previous novel length one, Innocence Ends, that I put out August of 2020. I was really proud of that one. It took like 20 years to write it, essentially, because the initial idea for it kind of germinated from a conversation my old guitarist and I had back when he was my roommate. And so that was like 99, 2000. And then I didn't get the book I didn't even really start writing it until about 2012. And then I put it on the back burner until, I don't know, 2018, 2019, and then wrote it. So
I actually think I have that one coming.
Yep, you do.
Of course, it's in Alaska, so the fucking moose are like dry humping it right now. It takes forever.
For that in the holidays.
Yeah. No.
If you could collaborate and co-author with anybody, who would you choose? And we can even expand on that. We can say dead or alive.
Oh Jesus, that's a hard one.
Or you can pick one of each. One person still living and one person still dead.
Oh, one person dead? Because I loved the previous collaborations I'd read from them, it would be probably J.F. Gonzalez. Because I've read other things that he collaborated on while he was still alive that I absolutely loved. Like his work with Brian Keene for the Clickers books was fantastic. So I don't know. I think as far as dead authors, that would have been one that would have been fun to work with, I think.
Okay.
Because I mean, he collaborated with Keene and Wrath James White. I mean, the guy was awesome.
Yeah.
And Survivor is one of my favorite books.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet. It's in my horrifically long.
It's a rough book to read.
I have heard, but I can't wait to read it.
But living authors, I mean, there are two people that I probably would choose to work with if I could, if only because they've done so many damn collaborations that they'd be able to hold my hand the whole way through, because I have no idea how to collaborate with someone. It would either be like Lucas Mangum or Ryan Harding, because
those are two good ones.
They both collaborate with pretty much everyone, and what they put together is fucking gold every time. And then individually, they're fucking just fantastic, phenomenal authors as well. But I think that if I had to pick living authors to collaborate with, it would be one of those two.
Yeah, they're really good.
You said Lucas Mangum, and my brain just exploded because Rusted Blood, I feel like, has such a strong Nick Robinson vibe to it.
Oh,
that
I haven't read it yet either, and I have a copy of it, and I haven't read
it.
Oh,
dude!
Same.
It's fantastic. It is fantastic. And I think when you read it, you'll be like, God damn it. because I could totally see you guys working together and pulling together something brilliant along that line of, or along that theme. And yeah. So Lucas Mangum, I don't know if you're listening to this, but you probably
Ryan Harding.
Oh yeah, well Ryan Harding too. Either of you, but you should definitely get in touch with Nick Robinson.
Have your people contact Nick's people. Nick's people is us. So
yeah.
We'll just be like, but those are good. Those are two good options.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're both just pros at it too, because they both collaborated with so many people that I think if anyone knows how to do it right, it would be those two. So
oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. Now you got my brain going like a million different places, and I'm having a hard time focusing. Damn it! Well, congratulations. You did very well, and you've successfully survived the test of our rapid fire for this time. We'll get you next time.
It's like, there won't be a next time. I'm blocking both.
Thank you so much for your time and for hanging out with us. Do you have any upcoming new releases that you would like to tell the people about?
not right now. I don't have a release date for my next published work through Madness Art Press. I know it will be in 2022. I just don't know when it's going to fit into the schedule yet. And then I don't know what my next thing on Godless is going to be, or what I might have for self-published work.
Okay.
So right now I'm just kind of working on things, and then we'll see where we are from there.
Where do you prefer people to buy your work from?
Digital, I always recommend Godless, just because that's such a fantastic platform, and I love Drew. I love what he's doing. I love pretty much everybody involved, so I just want to support that as much as possible. That, and I usually mark the price down from there on there versus like Amazon. I mean, for physical media, of course, Amazon's still the best option, unless somebody wanted to reach out to me directly and I could try and order copies and then send out signed ones, but that takes time, and I procrastinate.
And you are comfortable with I mean, you have been very kind with both myself and Christina, who initially reached out to you as fans and nothing more. And you are comfortable with other people contacting you directly?
I don't care at all.
Oh, fantastic. Where
he
is the best?
Me, so I know he's okay with fans.
Where's the best place for people to get in touch with you? What is your preferred social media platform, or do you have several that they can reach out?
Facebook's probably the one I spend the most time on. I do spend a fair amount of time on Instagram and Twitter, but I fucking hate Twitter.
Yeah, I don't do Twitter.
Like it's just a garbage pile. And like, I don't know, everything gets lost in the shuffle over there because it's just this constant barrage of information. So I'm not a big fan of Twitter. I use it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But Facebook's just the easiest one for reaching out, because I get notifications from there immediately, and I actually tend to pay attention to those versus, Instagram notifications, where it's usually just some spam message of somebody trying to invite me to some group or whatever.
The Illuminati.
And if people would like to follow your blog, how shall they find you?
Just meltdownmessiah.com is where my blog is. It's hosted through WordPress, but it's mostly book reviews, movie reviews, that sort of thing, with occasional updates on my stuff mixed in.
And you have a TikTok as well, Meltdown Messiah, right?
I do, but I haven't started to use anything on it.
Oh, we're going to have to fix that.
I don't use mine either, Nick. I just have it so she can tag me in videos.
I'll be working with both of y'all on that one, because we gotta make our presence known.
They see our face enough. Like, I'm good.
Well, Nick, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You are so kind to do this with us.
Yes.
We really appreciate all of you who have been willing to do
Especially
this
because it's
with
so
us.
new.
Absolutely. For a full list of Nick's bibliography, please come join us on the Mothers of Mayhem official Facebook group. We have just launched a merch store. I know, right? Amazing. You can find us through TeePublic, but also you can find our merch link on the Facebook website or our Facebook group, as well as if you follow myself on any of my social media platforms, our TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, TF Did I Just Read, click on the link tree. The link tree will take you to everything you could ever want to know about Mothers of Mayhem, including our merch store. You are now obligated to follow both Christina and myself on various social media platforms, as well as Mr. Nikolas Robinson. You can find the links to those in our show bio. And as always, please send your questions, comments, insults, and pictures of dildos for Christina to our email address m.o.m.extremepodcast@gmail.com. The most important piece of that whole thing was the dildo pictures for Christina.
Stop with the dildo pictures.
I never
Send me Blippy pictures more than that.
Pictures of Blippy with
As a
dildos. No, people, we're gonna.
He already is. Oh, that's
we're gonna get sued.
Oh well.
By Blippy.
Dude, you're so mean.
Mama C, who do we have
ma'am.
coming to hang out with us on the next one?
Next one, hope you're sitting down, is Daniel J. Volpe.
Oh, another filthy heart murderer.
Nothing
You're on your own
fucking
for that one.
murders.
I'm not going to talk to that guy.
Nick's a heart murderer. Daniel's a heart murderer.
Yeah, I'm not showing up for that one.
We'll be talking about Left to You. We'll be talking about A Gift of Death. We'll be talking about all of his stuff. His shorts.
Talia and Billy Silver.
So yeah,
All
that's
right.
what's going on.
Yeah, well, so until next time, go raise some hell, children.
Make your book mummies proud.
Yay!
Bye.
Nick.
Yes. Hi, puppy.
Ma'am, step back. Step back. 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 Ma'am, step back.